Alex Carter stared at the alien delegation with a quiet nervousness that his superiors mistook for calm. As Earth's diplomatic representative, he wasn't chosen for bravery, but for his careful, measured approach to negotiation. The Valorians, tall, imposing beings with iridescent scales and eyes that seemed to see through human pretense, had made contact 3 months ago, offering technological exchange. "The Galactic Confederation welcomes humanity," announced Krell, the Valorian ambassador, "though we find your species unusual." Alex noticed how the aliens kept referring to humans as cautious and hesitant, words that sounded like polite substitutes for cowardly. Unlike the warrior races of the Confederation, humans had built safety protocols into everything, had developed technology incrementally, and approached space with careful planning rather than bold conquest. "We look forward to learning from each other," Alex replied diplomatically, ignoring their thinly veiled condescension. The meeting continued in the large glass-walled conference room at the United Nations. Earth's leaders sat on one side, the alien delegation on the other. Alex felt the weight of humanity on his shoulders as he translated complex human concepts for the visitors. "Your ships," said Krell, examining the holographic display of Earth's space fleet. "Why so many backup systems? Why so much redundancy?" "We value the lives of our crew," Alex explained. "Each system has a backup in case of failure." The Valorian made a dismissive gesture with his four-fingered hand. "Failure should not be an option. Our warriors pilot ships knowing death may come. It is honorable." Alex nodded respectfully but didn't agree. This difference in thinking had become apparent in all their interactions. The Confederation races prized bravery above all else. Direct confrontation, glory in battle, and a strange dismissal of safety measures as somehow dishonorable. Later that evening, alone in his office, Alex reviewed the day's discussions with his assistant, Maddie Wilson. "They think we're cowards," he said, staring out at the night sky. "Because we wear seat belts. Because we have emergency protocols. Because we consider the risks before acting." Maddie shrugged. Different evolutionary paths, different values. Their homeworlds were probably more dangerous than Earth. Maybe. Alex wasn't convinced. Or maybe they're just reckless. Their conversation was interrupted by an alert on Alex's computer. The Valorian ship orbiting Earth was requesting an urgent meeting. Something had changed. When Alex arrived at the conference room again, he found Krell looking uncharacteristically concerned. "We have received a transmission from our home systems," the alien said without preamble. "Something is coming. Something our sensors cannot properly identify." Alex leaned forward. "A threat?" "Perhaps." Krell seemed reluctant to admit concern. "3 of our outpost stations have gone silent. No distress signals. No debris. Simply gone." "Do you need assistance?" Alex asked carefully. The Valorian straightened to his full height, pride visibly reasserting itself. "The Confederation does not require help from younger races. We merely inform you as a courtesy." But Alex had seen the momentary flash of fear in those alien eyes. Whatever was happening out there in the depths of space had frightened even these warrior beings. Little did anyone know that humanity's so-called cautiousness would soon be the galaxy's only hope. As the Valorian delegation departed, Alex turned to Maddie. "Contact Dr. Martins at the Deep Space Observatory. Tell her to focus all instruments on the sector Krell mentioned." "You think they're hiding something?" she asked. "I think they're too proud to admit they're scared," Alex replied. "And scared people make mistakes." The first sign of trouble arrived 3 days later, when the Valorian delegation abruptly canceled all scheduled meetings. Their ship remained in orbit, but communications became minimal and strictly formal. Something was definitely wrong. 6 months into the cultural exchange, Dr. Olivia Martinez detected the anomaly. Her team at the Deep Space Observatory had been using newly acquired Valorian scanning technology when they found it. A massive void moving through space, consuming everything in its path. It's not registering on any spectrum, Olivia explained to the emergency council. It's like nothingness advancing through reality. The Valorian representatives appeared visibly shaken, something humans had never witnessed before. The void, whispered Krell. A myth, a nightmare, not real. But it was real, and according to calculations, it would reach Valorian space in 3 months, Earth in 6. When Olivia suggested immediate evacuation planning, the Valorian delegation scoffed. A warrior race does not run, declared Krell. We will face this threat with honor and strength. Privately, humanity began preparations anyway. Their innate caution, their supposed weakness, driving them to plan for the worst. Olivia returned to her lab after the tense meeting. Her assistant, Ben Harris, was reviewing the latest scans. They're not taking this seriously enough, she said, frustration clear in her voice. This thing has already swallowed 3 star systems. Ben nodded grimly. The Valorians think they can fight it. But how do you fight? Nothing. The void defied all scientific understanding. It wasn't a black hole or any known cosmic phenomenon. It was as if a piece of reality itself had been cut out, leaving an advancing emptiness that consumed matter, energy, and even light. Olivia spent the next week analyzing data nonstop. She barely slept, sustained by coffee and a growing fear that they were running out of time. The patterns were becoming clearer. The void was not only moving, it was accelerating. We need to speak with President Garcia, she told Alex Carter after showing him her findings. The Valorians are preparing for battle, but we need to prepare for survival. Alex agreed. Within days, a classified human initiative began, Project Lifeboat. While maintaining diplomatic relations with the Confederation, Earth quietly started developing evacuation protocols, stockpiling resources, and modifying ships for maximum passenger capacity. The Valorians noticed the increase in human activity. Your people seem busy, Krell commented during a scheduled meeting. His tone suggested disapproval. Just normal improvements to our infrastructure, Alex replied carefully. We're always looking to build safer systems. Safety, Krell repeated, the word sounding almost like an insult. Your species is obsessed with it. Alex chose not to argue. The gap between their worldviews seemed to widen each day. Meanwhile, Olivia made a breakthrough. Analyzing subtle gravitational distortions around the void, she discovered it wasn't completely random in its movement. The phenomenon seemed to follow paths of least resistance through space, almost like water flowing downhill. If we understand how it moves, she explained to the emergency council, we might be able to predict its path more accurately, maybe even influence it. President Garcia nodded. Develop this theory, Doctor, but keep it between us for now. The Valorians continued their preparations for battle, gathering their fleet near their homeworld. They shared little information with Earth about their military plans, considering humans too inexperienced in warfare to contribute meaningfully. What they didn't know was that human scientists were already thinking beyond the fight, considering scenarios where confrontation failed, developing technologies to detect the void earlier, and designing potential methods to redirect its path. As the first Valorian colony world fell silent, Alex received an urgent message from their high command. For the first time, there was actual footage of the void, a terrifying wave of nothingness advancing across a planet's surface, leaving empty space where life had existed moments before. Now do you understand why we must fight? Krell demanded, his usual composure cracking. This is extinction. Yes, Alex agreed quietly. But fighting isn't always the only answer. As the void approached the outer Valorian colonies, the proud warrior race launched their attack. Massive battleships, technologies beyond human understanding, weapons that could shatter moons, all directed at the advancing darkness. All failed. From the observation station, Commander Ryan West watched the Valorian fleet disappear into the blackness. No explosions, no debris. Just gone. We need to evacuate immediately, He told the remaining Valorian diplomats on Earth, "Your homeworld is directly in its path." "Warriors do not flee," they responded, though fear now clearly edged their voices. Ryan shook his head. "There's courage in knowing when to retreat, when to regroup. This isn't surrender, it's survival." The Valorians left Earth the next day, returning to join their civilization's final stand. Human scientists, meanwhile, pursued a different path, studying the void, looking for patterns, seeking solutions that didn't involve direct confrontation. Ryan couldn't sleep that night after watching the battle footage. The Valorian attack had been impressive. Thousands of ships firing weapons that could destroy planets, energy beams that cut through space itself, technologies humans had never seen before. And yet the void had simply absorbed it all, like throwing stones into a bottomless pit. The next morning, he met with Alex Carter and President Garcia in the Crisis Command Center beneath Washington, D.C. "The Valorians have lost a third of their fleet," Ryan reported. "They're regrouping for another attack, but their leadership is divided. Some want to continue fighting. Others are finally considering evacuation." President Garcia frowned. "Too late for many of them. Their outer colonies are already gone." "They refuse to listen," Alex said quietly. "They called our caution weakness. And now they're paying for their pride," Ryan added. "But that doesn't mean we should abandon them." The president nodded. "We won't. Prepare our evacuation ships. If any Valorians want sanctuary, Earth's doors are open." That afternoon, Ryan supervised the preparation of Earth's rescue fleet. Unlike Valorian vessels built for war, human ships prioritized safety and survival, redundant life support systems, extensive medical facilities, and large cargo areas that could be converted to housing. "Our greatest strength was never firepower," Ryan told his crew. "It was our ability to plan for disaster while hoping for the best." News arrived that the second Valorian attack had failed as completely as the first. Their homeworld now lay directly in the void's path, with less than a week until contact. Only then did the first official request for help arrive. Krell himself delivered the message, his proud stance now weighed down by defeat. "The Confederation requests assistance," he said, each word clearly painful to speak. "We require evacuation support." Ryan didn't mention that human ships had already been positioned near Valorian space for weeks, waiting for just this moment. There was no value in pointing out that human cowardice had anticipated this need long before Valorian bravery would acknowledge it. "Our fleet is ready," he said simply. "We'll save as many as we can." The rescue operation began immediately. Human ships entered Valorian space, facing not only the approaching void, but also the chaos of a civilization in collapse. Millions sought escape from a threat that couldn't be defeated through strength or courage. On the bridge of the E's horizon, Ryan directed the evacuation efforts. The ship shuddered as the void's gravitational distortions reached them. "We have 15 minutes before we must retreat," his science officer warned. "Keep loading," Ryan ordered. "Every minute means more lives saved." A Valorian commander, watching the methodical human operation, finally understood what he was seeing. "You planned for this," he said. "All along, you were preparing, not to win, but to survive." Ryan nodded. Sometimes survival is the only victory that matters. While the Confederation races prepared for glorious battle, a team led by Dr. Nathan Green and engineer Samantha Rice developed what they call the displacement network, a series of interconnected devices designed not to destroy the void, but to redirect it. "We can't beat it," Nathan explained to world leaders, "but maybe we can guide it away from inhabited systems." The plan was considered dishonorable by Confederation standards, a coward's tactic. But as reports came in of whole civilizations vanishing, honor seemed increasingly irrelevant. Construction began immediately. Earth's factories worked around the clock, producing thousands of displacement nodes. Space agencies worldwide coordinated the largest deployment mission in human history. "They call us cautious," Samantha said as she calibrated the prototype. "Maybe that's exactly what the universe needs right now. In the sprawling research facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Nathan examined the latest test results. The small-scale model had worked. A microvoid they had created in the lab had followed the path of least resistance created by their displacement field. "If it works on the real thing," he told Samantha, "we could save billions of lives." Samantha adjusted the calculations on her tablet. "The scale is what worries me. We'll need thousands of nodes, perfectly calibrated, creating a continuous channel away from populated areas. And we'll need to deploy them quickly," Nathan added. "The void is accelerating." When they presented their plan to the Emergency Council, the remaining Valorian representatives were openly disgusted. "This is not fighting," one objected. "This is trickery. Deception. This is survival," President Garcia responded firmly. "And right now, that's what matters most." Despite Valorian objections, the plan moved forward. Earth's manufacturing capacity was redirected to produce the displacement nodes, small satellites that, when networked together, could create subtle gravitational distortions. While rescue operations continued in Confederation space, the first deployment ships launched from Earth. Their mission: to create a massive gravitational corridor that would guide the void away from inhabited systems and toward a region of empty space. Nathan worked tirelessly, coordinating the technical aspects of the mission. The mathematics were incredibly complex. Each node had to be placed with perfect precision, creating a seamless path of least resistance. "It's like digging a canal to redirect a flood," he explained to military officers who questioned his approach. "We can't stop it, but we can change where it goes." As the first nodes were deployed, doubt crept in. Would this actually work? Was humanity placing its hopes on a theory that might fail when tested against this cosmic horror? News arrived that the Valorian homeworld had fallen. The proud warrior race that had once looked down on human caution was now largely homeless, their survivors scattered among refugee fleets. Some Valorians, desperate and angry, accused humans of withholding their plan until after Valorian worlds had been consumed. Nathan found himself confronted by a Valorian commander during a coordination meeting. "You waited," the alien said bitterly. "You let our worlds die while developing your solution." "We started working on this the moment we detected the void," Nathan replied calmly. "But we couldn't deploy an untested system that might make things worse." "That caution you mocked. It's why this plan might actually work." The commander fell silent, understanding slowly dawning. As the deployment continued, human ships ventured dangerously close to the void's edge. Unlike the Valorian ships that had charged directly into battle, these vessels maintained safe distances, used remote drones for the riskiest placements, and included multiple escape options for their crews. "Cowardice," some Confederation survivors still muttered, watching the careful human approach. But when the first readings showed the void's path beginning to curve away from its projected course, following the gravitational corridor created by the displacement network, those same voices fell silent. Perhaps there was wisdom in caution after all. The Valorian homeworld fell in a day. For all their warrior pride, for all their advanced weapons, they couldn't stand against something that couldn't be fought conventionally. Refugees began arriving at Earth, not just Valorians, but dozens of Confederation species. Proud warrior races reduced to begging for sanctuary from the cautious humans they had once subtly mocked. Admiral John Peters oversaw the rescue operations, directing Earth's hastily expanded fleet to save as many as possible. "Their ships are built for battle, not evacuation," he noted grimly. "No redundancy systems, minimal life support, almost no civilian transport capacity." A Valorian commander, watching human rescue ships methodically extracting survivors from a disabled colony vessel, finally understood. "Your ships, they're designed to survive failure," he said with dawning comprehension. "Multiple backup systems, compartmentalization, safety protocols we considered unnecessary." John nodded. "We built our civilization preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. You built yours expecting only victory." The skies above Earth grew crowded with alien vessels seeking refuge. Massive temporary settlements sprang up across every continent to house the survivors. Humans who had never seen a non-Earth being now worked side by side with creatures from across the galaxy. In the command center at Geneva, John directed the incoming traffic with the help of his operations chief, Kate Murphy. Another convoy from the Xerillian sector just arrived, Kate reported. Mostly civilians, some military escort. Their ships are in terrible condition. John sighed. Send them to the South Pacific landing zone. Medical teams on standby. The screen showed the situation unfolding across the solar system. Human ships, once considered primitive by Confederation standards, proved remarkably effective at rescue operations. Their designs prioritized durability, long-term life support, and crew survival rather than weapons or speed. Admiral, a communications officer called out, "We have a distress signal from a Valorian battlecruiser near Jupiter's orbit. Engine failure, life support failing." "Dispatch the Montana and the Beijing," John ordered. "Full medical teams." The rescue ships found the massive Valorian vessel drifting, its once proud lines now dark and damaged. The boarding team found hundreds of survivors packed into areas never designed for long-term habitation. "Your ship wasn't built for this kind of journey," a human medic explained to the Valorian captain as they transferred wounded aliens to the human vessel. "It was built for war," the captain replied weakly. We never considered that you might lose," the medic finished gently. When the survivors were safely aboard the human ships, many saw true human ingenuity for the first time. Corridors with emergency lighting that activated automatically, compartmentalized sections that could be sealed in case of breach, medical bays with backup power sources, food storage sufficient for months. One young Valorian, watching the human crew efficiently manage the crisis, turned to John with genuine curiosity. "Your people prepare so thoroughly for disaster," she said. "How do you live with such fear?" John considered the question carefully. "It's not fear that drives us to prepare," he explained. "It's respect for how dangerous the universe can be. We don't expect to win every battle. We just hope to survive every war." As more refugees arrived, tensions sometimes flared. Some Confederation species still clung to their warrior pride, seeing dependence on human charity as shameful. Others were humbled by the experience, watching humans work tirelessly to save people who had recently dismissed them. At a refugee processing center in Egypt, a Valorian elder approached John after witnessing human volunteers working through the night to provide shelter, food, and medical care. "We called you cautious," the elder said quietly. "We thought it meant weak. But I see now. It takes great strength to acknowledge danger, to prepare rather than merely react." John offered a tired smile. Different kinds of courage for different kinds of challenges. As Earth became the center of galactic rescue efforts, humanity's so-called weakness was revealed to be its greatest strength. The void changed course 3 days after the first displacement nodes activated. The network created a subtle gravitational corridor, offering the path of least resistance away from populated systems. On the bridge of the ESS Horizon, Captain Lisa Johnson monitored the operation. "It's working," reported her science officer, Sean Miller. "The void is following the path we've created." Lisa didn't celebrate yet. The network required constant adjustment, with teams working in dangerous proximity to the phenomenon. What the Confederation saw as cowardice, remote operation, automated systems, multiple fallbacks, was allowing humans to manipulate something that had consumed millions of warriors who'd faced it directly. When a node cluster failed near Europa Station, threatening to collapse the entire network, it was a human repair team that ventured dangerously close to the void's edge. Protected by suits with redundant life support systems and tethered to ships designed to prioritize crew survival over mission success. They succeeded not through bravery alone, but through bravery tempered with caution. Lisa stood at the main viewport, watching the distant darkness that was slowly changing direction. The displacement network was functioning better than anyone had dared hope, creating a gravitational slope that the void naturally followed. "Captain," Scene called from his station. "We have a problem in Sector 7. 3 nodes have gone offline." Lisa frowned. "That's the 4th failure this week. What's causing it?" "The gravitational stresses are greater than we calculated," he explained. "The nodes weren't designed to withstand this kind of pressure for extended periods." This was the challenge they faced. The network needed constant maintenance, with nodes burning out faster than expected. And each repair mission brought human teams dangerously close to the edge of oblivion. "We need volunteers for a repair mission," Lisa announced to her crew. No one hesitated. The repair shuttle launched an hour later. Lisa watched from the bridge as the small craft approached the dead nodes, its crew protected by every safety measure human engineering could provide. "They're beginning replacement procedures," Scene reported. "Estimated completion time, 45 minutes. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. "Gravitational surge detected," shouted the sensor operator. "The void is accelerating in that sector." Lisa grabbed the communication panel. "Repair team, abort mission. Return immediately." On the main screen, they watched the repair shuttle quickly disconnect from the node array and fire its engines. The void's edge seemed to reach toward them, like a hungry predator sensing prey. "They're not going to make it," someone whispered. But they did make it. Barely. The shuttle's automated systems detected the danger and fired emergency boosters, putting just enough distance between them and the advancing darkness. When the shuttle safely docked with the horizon, Lisa met the team in the hangar bay. "That was too close," she told them. The lead engineer, Andy Foster, removed his helmet with shaking hands. "The auto-eject saved us. If we'd been using Confederation equipment." He didn't need to finish. Everyone knew Confederation technology prioritized effectiveness over safety. Their repair teams wouldn't have survived. Later that day, a Valorian observer requested to speak with Lisa. The alien had been watching human operations with growing interest. "Your people risked their lives to maintain this network," he said, "yet you call yourselves cautious." Lisa nodded. "There's a difference between taking necessary risks and unnecessary ones. We don't avoid danger, we prepare for it. A distinction my people never understood," the Valorian admitted. "We saw your safety protocols as signs of weakness, your backup systems as lack of confidence. And now I see they are what allow you to face true dangers, to take real risks when needed, rather than pointless ones for the sake of appearing brave." As the operation continued, more aliens joined the human teams, learning this new approach to danger. The network expanded, creating a clearer path for the void to follow away from inhabited systems. 3 months later, long-range sensors confirmed what everyone had hoped. The void was now on a trajectory that would miss all remaining populated worlds. The plan was working. 5 years after the void was successfully redirected into an uninhabited region of space, the Galactic Confederation convened on Earth. The power structure had shifted dramatically. Humanity, once seen as a minor cautious species, now stood at the center of galactic politics. In the Grand Assembly Hall, Alex Carter, now Earth's ambassador to the Confederation, addressed the gathered representatives. "There are many forms of courage," he said. "The courage to fight and die, yes, but also the courage to prepare for disaster, to prioritize survival over glory, to retreat when necessary, and to admit fear rather than be blinded by pride." Krell, one of the few surviving Valorian elders, stood slowly. "We called you cautious, hesitant, words we meant as criticism." The alien's voice carried through the silent hall. "We were wrong. Your species' careful approach to danger, what we mistook for cowardice, was wisdom. You built your civilization not around conquest, but around survival." Ambassador Carter smiled slightly. "The stars are vast and unforgiving. Perhaps the true courage is in acknowledging our fragility within them." The rebuilding efforts had transformed the galaxy. Planets once part of warrior empires now featured human-designed safety systems. Ships constructed in the new shipyards included redundancies that would have been dismissed as unnecessary just years before. After the formal session ended, Alex walked through the memorial garden with Olivia Martinez, whose early detection of the void had given them precious time to prepare. "Did you ever think we'd end up here?" he asked her. Leading the Confederation, Olivia shook her head. "Never. They thought so little of us at first." They stopped at a monument showing human and alien hands joined together. It commemorated the countless rescue missions that had saved billions during the crisis. "The funny thing is," Alex said, "we never wanted to lead. We just wanted to survive." "That's why they follow us now," replied Olivia. "We showed them something they'd never considered, that sometimes the greatest victory is simply living to see tomorrow." Nearby, Nathan Green was explaining Earth's new early warning system to a group of alien scientists. The network, built on the principles that had redirected the void, now monitored the galaxy for similar anomalies. "We don't expect another void," he told them, "but we'll be ready if something like it appears." "Always preparing," commented a Xyrillian scientist with what passed for a smile on its tentacled face. "But no longer alone in your caution." The changes went beyond technology. Cultural exchanges had flourished, with warrior races learning the value of planning, while humans adopted some of the boldness of their galactic neighbors. At the Flight Academy in what had once been Colorado, human instructors taught alongside Valorian pilots. Young cadets from dozens of species trained together, learning both daring maneuvers and careful risk assessment. "Balance," one instructor often said. "Courage without caution is recklessness. Caution without courage is paralysis." As evening fell on the final day of the Confederation Summit, a celebration began. Music from 100 worlds filled the air as former enemies danced together beneath Earth's stars. President Garcia found Alex watching the festivities from a balcony. "Quite a change from when they first arrived," she said. Alex nodded. "They called us cowards then. And now they understand what we always knew, that acknowledging your fears doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise." Later that night, as the celebration continued, Krell sought out Alex for a private word. "My species is adapting to this new way of thinking," the Valorian said. "It is difficult to change what we believed for thousands of years." "Change always is," Alex replied. "But your people are strong." "Yes, but we needed to learn that strength comes in many forms." Krell looked out at the stars. "The void still travels through distant space, following the path your people created, a constant reminder of what we learned." "What we all learned," Alex corrected gently. "That the universe doesn't care about honor or glory or courage. It simply is. And wisdom lies in accepting that reality rather than fighting it." Together, human and alien stood watching the night sky, where stars once threatened were now safe, protected not by fearless warriors charging into battle, but by those cautious enough to find a better way.